Well, this week's Bushel Up, going to talk a little bit about soybeans coming to you from a field here near Aurora. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of white mold pop up, and this has been the case. We saw our first instance about 2 weeks ago. Hearing more and more reports, pretty widespread geography-wise. Typically, we kind of expect to see it in normal areas when we have weather like this, but we're seeing an expansion of it. Primarily in northwest or northeast Nebraska through central Nebraska, but we're even seeing this far west is Elm Creek Kearney, further south of Harvard Clay Center. And so I want to talk a little bit about what it is. Obviously these plants were infected with sclerotia back at the flowering period. Those flowers get infected, and then we see the onset of mold that eventually kills the plant. And what you'll notice if you're driving by a field or looking, and you'll see some of the pictures of all of a sudden you'll see top dieback, and when you go peel back the plants, you'll see this mold, kind of gross to touch and play with. So you don't like to hang out in these fields very long, but that's what you'll see. You'll see part of the plant's alive, but there's the main stem here is died off, so we have some branching. You know, as opposed to a field, some beans up here from Central City that are filling really well. We don't have any of that dieback, but you'll see your pods start to abort back, and basically plants start to die. Primarily starts in pockets. You know, you look behind your shelter belts, areas that don't get airflow. That's where we see it. Primarily why we're seeing it so bad this year is our lack of airflow. You know, there's some theories about irrigating early. We want that ground to dry out, not keep those humid conditions. But back when we were in R1, R2, even today, we've had high humidity. We have not had a lot of wind. You think about that, so we're not getting that canopy dried out. You know, typically narrow rows drilled beans are worse. If you overwater, that's a problem. Our situation now is, you know, one strategy is shut the pivots off. Fortunately, our beans need all the water they can get right now because we're filling pods, so that's a very delicate line that we balance. You know, prefer to get some wind blowing. Actually would be our best plan of attack. From a treatment standpoint, Meravis Neo, Approach, Prima, with some added Approach, are two strategies that can help combat white mold. They're only going to suppress and protect the plants that aren't infected. So the problem is it's not curative. We're not going to bring these dead plants back to life. And if a plant's already infected, that infection is going to play out. So if you've got a really terrible situation, it may be too late. However, if you're in a field like this where we have a pocket here, but the majority of the field's okay, we definitely recommend immediate action. Get those fungicides on. It's not perfect. You're still going to see dead plants. It's not going to solve the problem, but it's going to help mitigate the problem and hopefully protect some of the yield loss. We can see some pretty severe yield losses to white mold to the tune of 20, 30, 40 bushel, all depending on how bad. So we're just going to try to mitigate that and still protect what's out there. Plus, you'll get the plant health benefit and disease benefit of putting that fungicide on. We're still in R3, R4, you know, a little bit later than we prefer, but better than nothing. About our only strategy. There's some things such as Sanidate, you know, basically hydrogen peroxide to try and kill this, knock it down. We can discuss those options with you, but there's some handling issues and different things that we got to consider. So anyway, if you have this problem, please holler at us. We'll come out, look at your field, try to help make the best decision possible. But that's our primary concern this week, and wanted to take a little time just to talk about this problem with white mold that we're seeing pretty widespread.